I do fantasy football.
It's my quarterback. If you guys do that, man, it's unfair.
How's your fantasy team looking this year?
I won $1 million.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
You're listening to Mia Jackson, who, by the way, I love my Georgia Bulldogs. Go Dogs! And you're listening to my Fantasy Wife podcast. What?
My Fantasy Wife podcast.
Style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable.
Blaire.
I watched 40 minutes of Space Jam this weekend. It's 40 minutes of my life. I'm not going to get back.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Gary.
They had already announced he was leaving.
Well,
he just didn't want to wait out the 30. You know how when you quit a job, you got to give him 30 days or whatever.
2 weeks. You've never had a real job, have you?
No.
He is the man in the fantasy world.
Drew.
You're not a Peyton Manning fan,
I'm not a Manning fan.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Lewis.
You love Burger King.
Yeah, I like Burger King.
Yeah.
Not the game. We're talking about practice, man.
You're listening to My Fantasy Wife podcast. www.myfantasywife.com.
Welcome, listeners, to My Fantasy Wife, the weekly sports meets comedy meets marriage podcast, where a husband and wife discuss sports, fantasy leagues, and their impact on pop culture and relationships, including their own. I'm the wife comedian Blaire Postman.
Did y'all rehearse that?
No.
No, that's the only thing I remembered last week from the intro.
Yes, my husband and sports stat expert is also here, Mr. Gary Hames. We're also joined by Hot Topics and social media maven, comedian Drew Harrison. Yeah. And rounding things out, sound engineer, comedian, and man about town, Mr. Louis Bishop. To never miss our weekly episodes and extras, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube. Find us on Facebook and Instagram at My Fantasy Wife Podcast and Twitter at My Fan Wife. And support the podcast by liking and rating us in iTunes. Miss any of that? Then just go to our website, myfantasywife.com, with links to everything. Gary?
Yes.
Tell us about this week's sponsor.
This week's sponsor, Blaire, as usual, is Gruff Goat Comedy Showcase at Waterline Brewing Company in Wilmington, North Carolina. The first Wednesday of every month, Gruff Goat brings you 3 of the best comedians from around the Carolinas for free. Join us this Wednesday, November 1st at 8 p.m. as we celebrate Folloween. With Greensboro Comics, Ryan Higgins, Ginny Stencil, and Eric Trundy, hosted by our own Blaire Postman. Free comedy, food truck, dining, Waterline beer. What could be better? Visit the event page at waterlinebrewing.com. For more information, and follow Gruff Goat Comedy on Facebook for up-to-the-minute show info and monthly lineups.
Could you please read that last line again?
What is Halloween?
It's the day after Halloween. It's when you have a Halloween party after Halloween.
Oh.
It's a fun pun.
Visit the event page at waterlinebrewing.com for more information, and follow Gruff Goat Comedy on Facebook for up-to-the-minute show info and monthly lineups.
All right. All right, guys.
Read it again.
The whole bit, because this is how you do a goddamn intro to the goddamn podcast.
Blah, 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 including their own.
I'm sure our listeners...
Well, if she would get us a piece of paper with this written down every week. Oh, Jesus
Christ. You know what?
We would know what to say.
I'm going to take pictures of every single outline because I keep them in a large binder. I don't know why I feel I need to, but I do, and that's not a joke.
Oh, they're still there?
Well, why do you keep them in the binder and not bring them to the show every week?
Oh, my God. I have binders full of women. Binders full of outlines.
You have binders full of women?
That Mitt Romney, remember that was a quote from the campaign. He was he had binders full of women he was going to nominate.
You watched the
campaign for what?
One of the hardest parts of having those binders,
is
when Blaire tries to run. Try running with those binders.
Try running with these. Weighs you down, slows you down. I have binders full of outlines. Binders full.
It's like having 2 recently dead mammals strapped to your binder.
Yeah. You know what the sad part is? It clearly...
Yes, I do know what the sad part is. Thanks for asking.
The clear reason that some part of my brain must believe that there needs to be a record of this.
Clearly, your act is unforgettable. I think that's what this whole conversation
proves. A time
proves.
capsule is needed of every outline we've ever done with the notes. I have brackets.
Do you have old ones? That's what I'm asking.
Yes, all the old ones. Every old one. Yes, all of them with notes, and if we have that I wrote in them on the show, like if we're ever in the Smithsonian, I have the materials they need.
Well, that's nice that
like
our fans can see them. Too bad we never saw them.
So if she ever becomes famous and then becomes unfamous and is poor late in life, she can sell it on eBay.
I like that too.
Yeah,
I like that.
Well, all right. All right, guys.
That was a nice defeat.
Okay, coming up this week, episode 133.
All
133 is our guest, KWASI MENSAH, out of Boston. And there's some other fun stuff in November and December, like Vanessa Gonzalez is going to be our guest. She's from Austin. We're going to have Jesse Jones, who was briefly from Wilmington, North Carolina, but now is out of Charlotte. Christian Spicer from L.A.
That's an unfortunate last name.
And he's very funny. He seems to be doing okay with it. And we're also going to have some other fun stuff. Gary and I are going to be at the Hell Yes Fest, and we're going to interview somebody down there. We don't know who yet. So it's going to be a good time.
I'm
Lots
going
of fun
to
stuff.
eat Cajun food.
Oh, you're going, Gary?
Yes.
Nice.
We're driving down and back, and I believe Matt White is driving back with us.
Really?
Yes.
If he can fit in the car, because I'm going to gain a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, you can sit in the back. And I don't know, maybe we'll get a fun extra recording with Matt White as the guest. I'll have to figure that out.
Yes.
If he marries a stripper and a drunken, we might have to bring the stripper back, too.
Yeah.
That
does seem like something Matt White would do.
You can't break up a family.
No.
Well, that would be very sad.
Yes.
That would be wrong. Mm-hmm. Maybe we have to leave him there.
How Republican of you.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Breaking up his family.
No.
She wanted to take that one. She wanted to take the bait.
So, guys, before we get into fact-checking, I'm not sure I got a chance to listen to last week's episode. How'd it go?
It was pretty good.
That's not true. I listened to every single word of it.
I have a binder on that episode.
I've listened to it backwards.
In 20 years, they're going to
forwards.
release it.
I do notice that fact checks is a little bit longer.
Well, it's not.
So, President Trump, since you're not going to release the rest of the Kennedy information, do you feel that you are inclined to release the rough draft of last week's My Comedy Wife?
My Fantasy Wife.
Fantasy Wife.
The podcast is named Fantasy Wife.
All right.
No, last week was My Comedy Wife.
Gary came in, Drew. Well, you know this because you, of course, have listened to all the episodes you haven't been on.
Yes.
And but just as a reminder to the listeners, that Gary kind of thought. That was the 132nd episode. I think he thought that he had sort of, through osmosis, memorized more of the intro and such than he actually had. So,
I thought it was pretty funny.
It was fun. I think that you came to appreciate, even though it's boring.
Lewis didn't even let you finish that sentence before he started laughing.
I think you came to appreciate the difficulty of running the show, even though you basically called me boring.
I certainly understand the difficulty of being on it.
Oh my!
You had to see him turn it around.
All right, guys. Anything else that we missed not being here? I was sort of here, but last week. Any other? Any news?
Did you like the part where I shaved Lewis's head?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my favorite part.
Mm-hmm.
It's going back a little.
A little bit.
Kind of shave it again.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll do it every week.
Do you want to do that bit again?
If we get, that's Gary's enormous drink from McDonald's.
That's a normal sized drink for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fun little like Foley Artist kind of sound we could use for various
I'm going to do a
things.
horse scalloping later.
Yeah, nice. Very nice.
Anybody have any coconuts?
Yeah, if you could just have very nice.
There we go.
Various sound effects. All the sound effects you hear, like this is Gary humming. He perfected this. He's humming on a comb with a wax paper over it. But it sounds like
I stopped.
A shaver.
Sounds like
electric.
Nope.
Wow, you're good, Gary.
What happened to Bishop's eyebrows?
It's like a ventriloquist.
Yeah.
Good question. All right, guys. You ready to do a little fact checking?
Let's do it.
All right. This is the episode 133 fact checking. This is the part of the podcast where we correct the mistakes we made last episode to make room for the mistakes we're going to make this episode. And they're not so much fact checks as elaborations on interesting things that we came across.
Last week.
Last week's episode. And, for example, in the quiz, Drew, but you know this because you listened to the episode that you're not on, was women at any point throughout history who had done anything that Gary found to be, qualify them as power, girl power.
Yeah, I knew that.
Girl power. Not woman power. Girl power. And so he had a question about Dorothy Parker. He knows I like Dorothy Parker. I'm not as big an expert as I'd like to be, but I do like her. Is this the girl power song?
This is.
Okay, nice. He had asked who did Dorothy Parker leave her estate to, and I guess the NAACP. And Gary said it was Martin Luther King Jr.
Is this the theme from that Kevin Costner cowboy movie from like 20 years ago?
I think it's from Gunsmoker.
This is
Bonanza.
the Magnificent Seven.
Okay.
Okay.
Close.
If you could just hold all that until I finish this. Yeah, no one interrupted you last week. And Gary, you had it as Martin Luther King Jr., and I was like, God, I really thought it was the NAACP. Here's what happened. She left the rights originally to Martin Luther King Jr., and then in his will, he left the rights to her material to the NAACP.
So, in other words, I was right.
No, you were right, but
Okay.
I was wondering why I had it in my head that it was the NAACP. You guys did give me partial credit, which I appreciate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the next, what I hear was the big question of interest after the microphones were shut off behind the scenes.
Uh-huh.
What happened to Sir Walter Raleigh's head?
Right. After
Because
the
there's
fact.
question of who in Queen Elizabeth's handmaiden married a famous aristocrat and who was a traveler and explorer and who
Cut it off an electric razor, she did.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing. First of all, I had to guess who it was. I guessed who it was.
You really saw with that thing.
Sir Walter Raleigh. Here's the thing. Elizabeth didn't have his head cut off. It was King James who was her successor to the throne, who had Raleigh's head cut off.
LeBron James had her head cut off?
Okay.
Young LeBron James.
Anyway.
Isn't that his nickname, King James?
Yes.
No, but this was like in the 1600s in Scotland and then the Great Britain.
His talent's not that big.
Not that big. And anyway, I heard that there was some question afterwards about what happened to his head.
Right.
And his wife carried Sir Walter Raleigh's head around until she died, and then his son Carew carried it around till he died.
Carried around in a red leather bag for 29 years, this says.
Yes, and then Carew and...
leave that part out.
Carew and the head were buried with the body of Sir Walter Raleigh in, I believe it's St. Margaret's Church in England after that.
So did they dig up Sir Walter Raleigh's body and put the head back in?
No, they put...
Like an old Futurama looking episode?
Well,
or?
when the son died, the son and the head were added to the grave where Sir Walter Raleigh's body was.
So you're telling me that LeBron James invented the modern-day game of basketball using a human head instead of the leather device that we're used to today?
No.
Yes.
It was Michael Jordan first.
No.
Arrow Jordan. Everybody's always Jordan. All right. No problem.
And then here, this isn't a fact check, but this is an interesting little thing. So we've talked about this on different episodes, but Gary is adopted, and I've often said things like, I think he's of Eastern European descent.
You should do
That's my guess.
Hang on.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Hang on.
Okay.
So he's never wanted to really look for his family. I, of course, am just eternally curious about everything, so I've always thought it'd be of interest. He has agreed that he's going to do like a 23andMe test, figure out his descent,
right?
But open it here on the air, if you will, on the recording.
Oh,
now,
wow.
the thing is, though, Gary, a lot of these will tell you if you're related to other people who've taken their test. So you would have to be prepared. That's a possibility.
That is.
Which
And
I
how much?
didn't
Well, how
realize.
much does it cost?
There's one of them costs $79.99.
See, I'm a little torn because, as you're aware, if you simply spit in Louis Bishop's mouth, he can tell you your exact lineage.
Yes.
Right.
So I don't know. That'd be cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
He only charges $50
Right.
flat fee.
Yeah.
Bishop, you told me you quit that job.
Well.
Yeah.
He has a lot of
He does a
irons in the
similar.
fire.
He's still doing a similar thing, but we shouldn't talk about that.
Okay. So are you still down for that, Gary? Because
Yes.
I don't think you would have, like, if you have some third cousin and they've also done either an Ancestry.com or 23andMe, they'll show you.
You mean like a real third cousin, not a fake third cousin?
Yeah, they'll show you if they come up that you're likely related to this person or that person.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm not forced to contact them.
No.
You're forced to pay their debts if they have debts to the U.S. government.
Wow.
So,
what about my debts? Are they forced to pay my debts?
No.
I'll get the better of that.
Yeah.
If that's the way that works.
That's
the first 23 people that fill it out, they get their debts paid.
Oh, so
And
it's like
then
a Ponzi
you
scheme.
Have to pay their debts.
It's a very elaborate.
But if I
Ponzi.
bring somebody to the test after me, then they pay mine?
Yes.
Yes, right. So it's like a Ponzi scheme. I'm good at those.
Well, you got to get 23 before you.
Okay.
You got to be the 24th.
Wow, I always wonder where they got that name.
Yeah.
That's
where it come from.
Okay.
Drew, come here. Let me see what you are.
Okay.
Get it up.
I feel like he's spitting in more than he needs to.
I've been sick. I'm sorry.
What's Drew's? Oh, sorry.
Working.
So what's it? I can't wait.
Okay.
Okay. He's starting to change.
Salty.
Yes. English.
Okay, English. About how much? What percent English?
75, 76, 76
I'm not
English.
sure that's possible, but okay. Is it? I don't know.
Yeah. Percentages work in weird ways.
Okay.
All right.
Of course it's possible.
Let's see. 14%.
Anything's possible.
14% Scottish.
Okay. Wow, they distinguish between English and Scottish. This is very okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's
This requires a lot of sample.
It does.
With the $50, I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
You want to get your money's worth.
Oh, okay. And
you can stop spitting in his mouth now, though.
Yes. I'm going to say.
sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. I have enough. Thank you. And I'm going to say 10% Eastern European. Hold on. Finnish. Finland.
Okay.
10% Finland.
So 10% Finnish,
Finnish.
14% Scottish,
Oddly enough, that come at the end.
and 76% English.
Yes.
Wow, Drew, is that different than what you were expecting?
Yes, it is.
Okay, what were you expecting?
I expected the numbers to be different.
Oh, but the same exact three
Right.
Yeah.
nationalities.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
His dad always told him he was 11% Finnish, so it's quite a shock to find out that
it's going to take some getting used to.
Yes.
He doesn't know.
I know.
Okay.
Any third cousins that we should know about?
No.
Anyone? Is he related to anyone famous or infamous?
Infamous, yes. Infamous, no.
Okay. You going to tell us who it is?
I can't. Yeah. Some things are confidential.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for respecting my privacy.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
Would you let me tell you your future? All you got to do is cut your hair and put your hair clippings in my mouth.
Ew.
We'll do that after the show.
All right, guys, it's time for Hot Topics. Little Hot Topics, a little swisheroo, a little zazz, a little...
Is that phone ringing? Is that ESPN calling to buy our show?
I'll tell you what, if the show was really people spitting into Lewis's mouth and his revealing
Somebody
their
buy
DNA
it.
and the hair clippings telling the future,
Evan Stone would buy it.
that would sell. That's the show to sell. Next week, that's the...
Evan Stone Incorporated would be the number one.
That's our format starting next week. Okay. That's all we're doing. We're calling people on the phone. They're spitting into Lewis's mouth.
Over the phone?
No, they're sending in a sample.
It's like that Bugs Bunny cartoon where he holds it up and the saliva comes out of the...
We got a lot of... He's got a really good setup here.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Can I have another swisheroo, please?
Yeah, sure.
What do you mean? In Lewis's mouth?
Ew.
Ew.
No, that. The flourish. It's the World Series, guys.
I might even need a palate cleanser.
We still don't care about baseball.
So no, we do.
Yeah, we do now.
Yeah,
I'm just playing.
Yeah,
we cared about it briefly for Game 2.
We got...
This has been one of the best World
Game
Series.
2 was an all-time great.
Well, let's talk about the actual baseball, and then let's talk about the jackass and what he did. So first of all...
The jackass?
Yeah, the jackass who did the racist gesture and is not going to be spread.
Gotcha.
But let's talk about the baseball first. Let's not let one guy ruin everything for everyone. What's been your favorite parts of the series? It's tied up 2-2, Dodgers and Astros right now.
Just how awesome both teams have been.
Yeah.
It's been just a really good World Series.
Gary, you were going to talk about...
Well, Game 2, hitting 5 extra inning home runs was something else. It's never been done before.
Wow. Now, are you guys rooting? Gary, are you rooting for the Astros?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. What about you, Drew?
I really could care less.
You just like...
I went to a Colt 45 game in the brand new Astrodome when I was like 3.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a secondary team of mine from way back.
Okay. And Gary likes to cover all his bases. It's baseball. So has there been a moment? So for you, Gary, it was the 5 home runs in extra innings.
Oh, that Game 2 was an all-time great.
Yeah.
I mean, it back and forth, home runs. Yeah, it was a fantastic game.
So we got one more game in Houston, right?
Yep.
And is that tonight?
Yep.
Yeah, Clayton Kershaw and Dallas Keuchel, which is going to be the greatest pitching matchup of ever.
Really?
Well, I mean, Clayton Kershaw is the best pitcher of his generation, lock first-time Hall of Famer, and Dallas Keuchel's
He's getting there.
Pretty tough, too.
Drew is furiously, nodding at listeners, in approval of these statements that Drew is making. So
That's going to be a good game.
Yeah. What about you, Drew? What was your favorite moment of the series so far? Or are you just... You're feeling
it's
super...
the home runs. It's no one's really trusting their closers. No one knows what to do with the late innings because these teams have so much firepower. I've enjoyed seeing Brian McCann have a couple more hits in the tank.
Who's the man they call Animal on the Dodgers team?
It's George Steele.
Is that a porn person?
No, although that would be a good name.
He might have done some porn.
Who's George Steele?
It's George the Animal Steele. He's a wrestler.
Old
school WWF
wrestling. There's a Dodgers guy who's in his 30s and he's made a comeback and he improved his swing and they call him Animal. And Animal from the Muppets comes on when he bats. Nobody?
Yeah, no, he looks. Yeah, he's got
Animal.
Justin Turner.
Animal.
Yeah,
who?
Justin Turner.
Yes, that sounds right. Justin Turner. Animal. That's my one impression.
I think Lewis might be actually playing the organ over there.
Yeah.
No, he is.
What do you think of it?
Of course he is.
It's fantastic.
You always make yourself out to be the musician amongst us, but Mr. Bishop is crushing it on the organ.
No.
Which I'm gonna go by that quickly. You guys didn't. Okay.
Wurlitz her. I hardly knew her.
Wow. Okay. Now, because we can't have nice things, this guy on the Astros, Yuli Gurriel, after a moment of triumph, the first baseman hit a home run, and he ran off the Dodgers pitcher, Yu Darvish, and then he gets to the dugout, and you can't just be classy and excited that you hit a very critical home run. He put his fingers on the side of his face and lifted the corners of his eyes in a slanted eyes gesture. And then he used a word, Chinito, or Chinese boy, to refer to Darvish, who is Iranian and Japanese descent. And we know that because he has spit into Lewis Bishop's mouth in a previous episode.
Right.
That's actually where I got my start, was in baseball.
Right.
For some reason, he didn't have to pay, though. I don't really get that.
And
he's famous.
so since then, it's been his punishment has been passed down by the MLB, and he's going to be suspended for 5 games next season.
Well, Dice Clay was once quoted as saying most people could be blindfolded with dental floss.
No, yeah? But he wasn't a Major League Baseball player.
Well, in all fairness, Houston immediately very bravely dealt with the situation. They didn't worry about, the fact that they were in a World Series. They said, no matter what, I hope you're happy. Now, next year, once the World Series is over, we're going to fine you 5 games.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it was the MLB. And so is that an appropriate response if they're really serious?
No, if they really have a problem, they should do it now.
Drew?
I mean, that's... Yes, it was wrong. Yes, it was terrible. Should he miss the World Series for it? No. I agree with the punishment.
Now, okay. If it was a huge problem, or if baseball was serious, they would have done something now. NBA,
I agree.
NBA is serious. A few years ago, whenever Draymond Green got in trouble during the finals,
he had to sit out a game.
They said, set him out a game.
Well, if they really want to be fair, they make him commit traditional Japanese harikiri.
That would be very appropriate.
Yeah.
It would be a little gruesome.
Either that or get an eye lift. That would that would truly punish him.
Have you seen his hair? He's punishing himself.
That's
it's
true.
Okay.
That's true, too.
The sheer looks of disgust that you have for Gary sometimes during this podcast is fantastic.
I like the idea of making him commit seppuku. That's
yeah.
I think that would be
you think it is like a poetic.
The 2 slashes first, and then you don't make any sound of pain, and then you give yourself the killing blow.
Why do you know this?
I've read a lot about feudal Japan.
Okay. All right.
He's a big.
I disagree. They have to. What's going to have to happen is clearly they never really thought about this, because if you had, you would have been. Go ahead, Lewis.
Or I'm down with this if they let the Dodgers choose when this happens next year. Like, they don't know when the suspension's going to happen.
All right.
And it's a big game or whatever, and they're like, this is going to be one of the suspensions.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
That's never been done.
Bishop, you just won me over. I'm voting for
that
you for
is an
commissioner
amazing
next
idea.
time it's up.
Because, it puts the Dodgers in a bad situation, too. Because if he's suspended, and I guess this is one of their best players on the Astros team. I don't really know.
I mean, he's a first baseman.
They don't really want to have people win. The Dodgers don't want to win and have people say, like, oh, that's only because that dude was suspended.
Right.
So that kind of puts them in a bit of a bind. But I love that idea, Lewis. I love it.
Well,
I love that idea.
Thank you.
That's got a meme written all over it.
Mm-hmm.
Meme.
Also,
Dodgers choice.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to start fighting in baseball.
Okay.
Yeah. At the 7-inning stretch.
Right. Who fights who?
That's up to each team.
Okay. Nice. So, like, they each pick 3,
right?
Kind of thing.
Then they're in like the
then
All-Star.
everyone on their bench. Every team will have on their bench like a Clubber Lang.
Right. Well, no, it's got to be someone that plays in the game itself.
Oh, okay.
Maybe maybe we'll just do pitchers because they have the most to lose by hurting their hands. But there has to be one clear winner.
Right.
None of this sissy stuff.
All right.
None of this sissy stuff. And also during the All-Star game, I'll allow the fans to pick 2 players that fight to the death.
To the death.
Yeah. That's how you get into the All-Star. I mean, you get into the
World Series?
No, the Hall of Fame.
Oh.
There'll be a Hall of Fame just for
Make them bob for French fries.
Yeah.
Wow. That's that took a turn that I was not expecting.
I'll lead with the one thing, but the other stuff will be in the fine print.
I like the picking.
Yeah.
Okay, can we have a switcheroo, change the topic music, please?
Yeah, hold on, sir. Do this.
Jesus.
Do this.
This is all right. In other racist news in sports, and in Houston in particular, what the hell, Houston? Bob McNair, the chairman and chief executive of the Houston Texans, apologized last week after a report where he declared, quote, "We can't have the inmates running the prison," end quote, during a meeting of NFL owners over what to do about players who kneel in protest during the national anthem. Boy, that's going to really... Well, let me finish this last line. NFL executive Troy Vincent, a former player, was in that meeting apparently and stood up after they had spoken and said to the entire meeting that he is offended by McNair's comment, and that's, I think, how it eventually got out.
It's absurd. Wait, they toned it down. He originally said we can't have the slaves getting uppity with the masters, and they're like, that's not going to flow.
Yeah.
And so he cut it back to the prison thing.
I
know, it's the same thing. Can you imagine if you are involved in, like, a guy protesting, like, because he feels the country's not treating black people and getting their rights well and being abused by the police and whatever exactly he's protesting, and then the guy's response is you can't have the inmates running the jail?
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't have written a worse thing if you hired writers.
I mean, there's always 2 things when a prominent person or supposedly prominent person says something like that. I always get angry on 2 levels. One is the fact that they said it and that they're thinking that. But the second part is you have gotten all this money and all this training and you're too stupid to know that even if you feel this way, which is horrible, that you should shut the fuck up.
For business' sake, if nothing else.
No, just for
breaking news, majority of Texans players kneel in response to owner's inmates comment before game versus Seahawks.
Yeah, good.
Like, you want us to fall in line, we're going to fall more out of line.
Yeah, they followed in a straight line as they knelt together in protest at the inmate comment.
In complete precision. Can I have a change of topic music?
Why do you want to change topic?
And a shot of bourbon. Is that Animal from the All-Star Band?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The NFL, we're going to call our KWASI in a minute. We're running a little behind. But NFL, teams are good. Which teams are really good?
That's an excellent question.
I think you got to put the Eagles in that conversation.
I have a shorter answer. None. None is my answer. I think the undefeated teams were done after week 3 or 4. Is that right? Was there an undefeated team after week 4?
No, the Chiefs went to like week 5.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't know. And the Chiefs probably still... Do they still have the best? They've lost 2 now.
Yeah.
Has anybody just lost 1?
No, the Eagles have lost 2, and the Chiefs have lost 2, I believe. Let me look it up. Hold on.
Yeah, I find this as even Steven a year as I've ever seen in the NFL.
Well, it just seems like everyone's bad.
The Eagles are 6-1.
Oh, well.
Are they play today? Who they play?
They already won. They beat.
They played Thursday.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. That's right.
No, they beat the Dolphins. Lost horribly to the.
Right.
Ravens on.
Oh, Eagles
Thursday.
played this morning.
Yeah.
Were they in England?
No, that was
Eagles are 7-1.
Yeah.
The Eagles beat San Fran today at the 1:00 game.
Didn't they just lose their best defensive player for the year or something last week? I don't know. None of these teams sell me. There's nobody I can really get behind. You look at New England. New England's still one of the best teams in the league. Game up in the division, everybody's talking about, and they're terrible. They have literally the lowest ranked defense in the NFL.
The Rams, the Vikings, the Chiefs, and the Patriots and the Steelers have lost 2 games. And the Saints.
And just listening to you say those names,
Saints?
half of those teams don't. I bet I wouldn't even think would make the playoffs.
I didn't know the Saints were doing that well.
The Saints are doing that well.
Oh gosh. Okay.
The Rams are at the top of the NFC West. The Saints are at the top of the NFC South, both with 5-2. Vikings top the North with 6-2. Philly 7-1 with the East. Now to the AFC, Kansas City 5-2.
Look at the Titans.
Titans 4-3.
The Bills are 5-2.
The Steelers are 5-2, and then in the NFC East.
So is there is there a team that? So the Eagles maybe are the team that people are most excited about. Like,
wouldn't that be some shit if it was the Eagles and Chiefs in the Super Bowl this year?
That would. Well,
That'd be something.
The Chiefs have been good for a couple of years, though, right?
They just can never get over that hump.
But I thought the
Patriots.
Eagles have been terrible recently. I don't.
Yeah, well, they finally got a franchise quarterback.
Oh, what's his name?
Carson Wentz.
Oh, I haven't.
There's some are saying he's the MVP of the early part of the year.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't heard anything about him.
Well, the issue is is because Andy Reid was the longtime coach of the Eagles.
Yeah.
And they got rid of him.
Yeah.
Because he could
Chiefs
never.
were like, please.
Yeah, he could never get. He got to the Super Bowl. In 2005, something like that. 2004.
When they lost to the Patriots.
Yeah.
McNabb.
Which brings me to another note from last week, guys. I think Lewis knows a lot more about sports than he's been leading on the last couple of years.
Oh, I can guarantee that.
Yeah, he's been.
Wait a minute. So, are you saying that
we know you know a lot about sports, but he just had a lot more time?
Well, why do you
chime
think
in.
Lewis doesn't know a lot about sports?
Yeah, that's what I
Because
wonder.
sometimes he's like, I wasn't really paying attention.
Well, I'm always paying attention. Nice.
Right.
What you guys think?
Well, what's your argument?
Just historically, he doesn't.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Are we going to wrap this up?
He doesn't fucking chime in that much about sports. Unless it's like wrestling or whatever.
We finally have a topic of real importance, and now you don't want to discuss.
Well, I'm saying, he doesn't chime in that much about sports typically.
Right.
Unless it's about the Raiders or wrestling.
By the way, real quick, while you guys were talking about the World Series, I really enjoyed Game 3. It was really good. Game 2? Was it Game 2 of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
All of them been great except for last night when the Dodgers just destroyed them in
All
the
right.
last few innings.
All right, guys. I think we got to call KWASI.
Let's do it.
All right.
So, do you think Lewis hiding his light under a bushel, so to speak, is some sort of, what do you call it when like famous people control things from behind the scenes?
Oh,
Conspiracy?
Conspiracy. Do you think it's like a conspiracy?
A little bit.
yeah.
Huh.
A long time ago, Blaire called me a kingmaker.
I did.
Yeah.
ESPN heard about
Because-
this woman
okay,
in
we're calling-
Wilmington, and they sent Lewis to fake a show so they
Nailed
could find out
this.
if we were any good.
Lewis catalogs every compliment I've ever given him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a binder with all this
He's
shit.
got it all on binders. That's where I was going.
You see the closet in there. One binder. One piece of paper.
Oh, come on,
You
KWASI.
should see where all his Christmas stuff is. It's called the Santa Closet.
Yeah, it's all in a... It's in a binder. I put holes in everything I get people.
So Santa can breathe.
System 917.
Wrong thing. Sorry, I got it.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Hold on, let me make sure I put the right number. Boop, boop, boop. It looks right to me. Let me go look at the other thing.
By the way,
Talk about college football while I do this.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't there some big Ohio State
That
thing?
Penn State game was a hell of a game yesterday. Anybody see that?
I missed it. I didn't get to see it. I saw it, and
Wow,
then I saw the final
they were
score.
down 28-10.
I picked Ohio State to win.
I know, but
that's
not like
the
that.
clusterfuck that is the Big Ten.
Jeez.
Ooh, I put the wrong number in, guys. Oh my God, that is my fault.
Oh, we would have called Topher, and we would have been all pissy, and then it would totally been your fault.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like this.
Just another thing that's my fault.
Hello.
Yes, KWASI MENSAH. This is Blaire Postman, and you're on with my Fantasy Wife podcast. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. I may have just called the wrong phone number, and
not this time.
Not this time. No, because he's on the phone right now. But just a minute ago.
Wouldn't it be something if you dialed the wrong number and he answered anyway?
That would have been something.
Wow.
That would have been a thing.
Yeah.
KWASI, let me tell you who's in the studio besides me. First of all, my husband and sports stat expert, Mr. Gary Hames.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Fantastic.
And also our hot topics and social media maven, comedian Drew Harrison.
Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going, Drew?
And then rounding things out, comedian, sound engineer, and man about town, Mr. Louis Bishop.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Louis. How's it going?
Good.
KWASI, before we get going, I'm going to read a little bio of you for the audience, for the listeners. KWASI bridges the gap between insightful observations about race and still thinking he could be a Power Ranger when he was 15. He's open for SNL's Sashir Zamata, Aparna Nancherla, and W. Kamau Bell. He also produces Laughing Liberally Boston, a show that combines comedy with progressive politics. He's been featured in San Francisco Sketchfest, Crom Comedy Festival, Boston Comedy Festival, Bird City Comedy Festival, and like 10,000 other festivals. And he just recorded his first hour of stand-up titled Not From Around Here. Everyone, big round of applause for KWASI MENSAH. This is, and you have a nice audience with just us four here. This is about as many people as we had at our show we performed at last night, Drew. It's about as many people.
I had fun last night.
Well, we had fun. It was just a small show.
Yes, I love shows like that.
Yes. So, KWASI, you're in Boston, or you live in Boston now, is that right?
Yes, I live in Boston now. I'm from New York originally.
Okay, I was going to say, because you got the 917, where did you grow up in New York?
I grew up in the Bronx.
Oh, okay. You grew up in the city. In the city.
Yeah.
Okay. I grew up in Bergen County, just over the George Washington Bridge.
Okay, cool.
And so how long have you been in Boston?
I've been in Boston for almost 10 years now.
Oh.
So a while.
And you're not, did you go to undergrad there?
No, I went to undergrad in Pittsburgh. I went to undergrad in Pittsburgh, and I've just been in Boston ever since I graduated.
Do I remember, did you go to Carnegie Mellon maybe?
I did go to Carnegie Mellon, yes.
I remember chatting with you once, and I just had that flashback. All right, guys, I'm not totally crazy.
Right, because you have a Pittsburgh connection, right?
The Pittsburgh connection, which we're going to get to last, because we have a very exciting game to play with you at the end here. But first of all, you said growing up, you played basketball and volleyball. And did you play all the way through high school, or how? Yeah,
I played basketball. I only played freshman year of high school.
Right.
But volleyball, I played till senior year. I pretty much played all the sports I could get away with being tall in.
Right. Okay. No, that's good. How tall are you?
I'm 6'6".
Yep. No, that counts. That totally counts. Totally counts. And so let me ask you this, because
I'm 6'6" wide.
Yeah, right. Just like in circumference.
Yeah.
If something we talk to a lot of different comedians about a lot of different like sports or hobbies and other things. I don't think we've ever gotten a volleyball person, guy or gal. And sometimes we'll do games where we talk about movies from certain sports. Not a lot of volleyball related pop culture.
All I can think of is like everyone brings up that scene from Top Gun.
Yes! Oh my God!
Was there a volleyball scene in Top Gun?
Oh my God! KWASI MENSAH.
Well, it's weird.
2 years ago.
I haven't seen the movie. I just know it's one of the most homoerotic scenes.
Yes. Yes.
Who knew there was even a volleyball scene? I got to rewatch that movie.
In a classic My Fantasy Wife moment about 2.5 years ago. Oh my God, we've been doing this a long fucking time. We did Gary's Man Crush Challenge, and his favorite man crush, Rick Rossovich.
You might not know who that
you
is.
Don't know who that is, do you?
No.
Oh my God, he's only the hottest guy in the volleyball scene in Top Gun. Duh.
Okay.
So which one would that be?
They with the beak nose.
He was Val Kilmer's backseat
driver.
Whatever.
Yes, exactly.
The Iceman?
He was not the Iceman. He was the guy who flew with the Iceman.
Slider. His name was Slider.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah. But anyway, he was...
I just read it off the tattoo on my thigh.
Right. Gary's a fan Gary's a fan. So that's I forgot about that. Of course, that's a big pop culture moment for volleyball.
Yeah,
I feel like now it's mostly known for like.
Well, there was that C. Thomas Howard beach volleyball movie.
Howell.
C. Thomas Howell, yes, volleyball movie. What was that?
I don't know.
There was though.
Do you know, Quasi?
Oh wait, yeah, I didn't know there was a volleyball.
Damn it, we need to hire somebody to look these things up.
Hey, Drew.
What's up?
C. Thomas Howell volleyball movie, please.
C. Thomas Howell. What kind of name is that?
He was part of the...
he was in Red Dawn and he was Patrick Swayze Brat Pack thing.
Yeah, Rob Lowe, Emilio Estevez. He ran in those crowds. The Outsider.
Sir. Side Out.
Side Out.
Yes,
Side Out.
right.
And the name of the movie was Side Out.
Who else was in it? There was some sort of like other male star in that was his.
It wasn't
like
Tom Cruise.
I think it might have been. Was it Patrick Swayze? Somebody he had a Zen like partner.
That's right.
Peter Horton.
Gary,
no, never mind.
Gary, so we're talking about, can we think of any pop culture stuff? Getting ready for this podcast, because believe it or not, we do plan. And and he tells me about this movie. We couldn't remember the name. And he just says that we come to the conclusion that it's sort of the Roadhouse of volleyball. So it's like, if there was a Rocky of volleyball, like what would happen? What would be the climactic scene if it's, the underdog coming up through the system and no one believes in him? And is it the Olympics? Does he smash the winning point?
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren would have been a 6'6" Russian volleyball sensation.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would have been Tom Cruise, someone really short.
Right. Tom Cruise is only like 4'1" or something.
Or for that matter, Sylvester Stallone very short too.
Short,
so maybe we don't even have to change the casting that much.
Maybe the two of those as partners in beach volleyball.
Maybe.
And they hated each other. They had to come together as a 2-man team.
Yeah.
Oh.
How would you?
How am I not in
they
Hollywood?
Have to lose at the end.
What's that now? You can't have them
They
lose.
have to lose at the end.
Oh, if it's Rocky.
He
gets spiked unconscious, but then they come back to consciousness and win the game in the end.
Right. So he's got complete consciousness. So he's got that going for him.
Yes,
which is nice.
Oh my God, how I'm not in Hollywood. How am I not in Hollywood?
I don't know. We're not. That was a Caddyshack callback from 18 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So if you're writing, like, what's the biggest thing you can do in volleyball? If you're is it scoring, like smashing the winning point? Don't you have to win by 2?
Yeah, it'd probably be like, getting the winning spike, or actually getting like a winning ace. That's when you serve and like no one returns it.
Oh.
So if you could like do that.
Okay.
That would probably be like the big like moment that you put in the movie.
Right. After the montage of everyone, getting in shape and everything, and that's what they win.
Yeah.
What do you think you'd call your motivational volleyball movie?
I'd have to think about that.
I'm talking to Quasi, not you, but you can answer that too. What about you, Drew? What are we?
Spike.
Spike?
Yeah.
All right. Or Spiked D with a D.
With an exclamation point?
Like maybe he's a recovering alcoholic.
What about the reverse exclamation point? And it would be in like Tijuana, Mexico.
Okay. Interesting.
They had to stop drinking tequila in order to get to the Olympics.
Right. Quasi, what would you call it?
I mean, I guess I'd probably call it bump set spike. That's like that's like the ideal turn. You're like that's how you set each other up.
Spike.
Right, balls of fury has sort of already been taken.
Right, yeah, I feel like that's too close. Right. Oh, I like that bump set spike. Yeah. Who's starring in it, Lewis? Who do you think's starring in Bump Set Spike?
Well, the guy that just come up with the name, of course.
Well, Quasi MENSAH, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He's 6'6", Blaire.
What's that song? No.
But I think Quasi should play. He should play Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, the Dolph. He's the villain.
Well, Dolph's getting a little old.
He plays Dolph Lundgren.
Oh,
he is Dolph Lundgren.
Versus.
That's the No, you're not understanding.
The 6'6" black guy's gonna play Dolph Lundgren.
You're Dolph Lundgren in the movie.
Nice. All right, I like it.
There's a certain suspension of disbelief that's called for.
Right, we're gonna.
No, I love that.
We're gonna. Okay. Did you win any important tournaments or anything when you were playing volleyball?
Well, I had like that one thing where like it's a varsity sport when I played in high school, so I was on the team as a freshman, but all like the seniors and juniors played, and we won the city championship there.
Yeah.
So like I'm the guy at the end of the bench that got a championship ring that year.
Good for you.
Nice.
You know what?
That's the best way to get a
There'll be
championship
plenty
ring.
of things you deserve you don't get. You take what you get. Damn it. That's my theory on that. And now you're taking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
I am taking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
And you sound excited about it, so I want to know what you like about it.
I am. It's It's actually really funny. It's a bunch of comics in Boston have started taking it. Like, we had one comic.
I'm sorry.
That'll never happen here.
Yeah.
Well, by a bunch, I mean 2.
Okay. I'm crossing out a bunch and I'm writing 2.
Yeah, he pretty much, like, these guys just swear by it. And I think a lot of times, like, the places that you go to are, like, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, which fit in, like, comedy schedules.
Right.
Because, you're doing shows later in the week and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of like, I don't know, I have this bit I'm working on where it's basically like the CrossFit of wrestling, where you have to tell everybody that you do it.
Right. Were you?
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's, again, kind of being like the guy of the former jock in me.
Yeah.
I do better in sports when I'm not just like in the gym for the sake of being in the gym, but
Right.
there's actually something I'm competing at.
Yeah. It's just sort of like a goal involved.
Yeah.
Is this one of the martial arts where you have to be very sort of almost gymnastic? Are you doing a lot of flipping and kicking and twisting and bumping and setting and spiking?
Yeah, eventually. Now I'm only 5-6 weeks into it.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty much just like wrestling.
Oh, okay.
At this point, it's like, they don't trust me with trying to flip people.
Okay.
Because knowing me, I'll like flip them 3 times and like make them land on their neck or something.
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
If you fought Anderson Silva, what would happen?
Who's that?
If I were to fight Anderson
Yeah,
Silva,
today, now that you've had 6 weeks of
I
training.
would run into the corner as quickly as possible. I would tap myself as soon as the fight started. I would tap myself.
Okay. All right.
Is that a famous jiu-jitsu person?
Yes.
He's a mixed martial artist.
Okay.
One of the things that they use is jiu-jitsu. So like when you see them, once they're done punching each other and they're on the ground grappling, that's jiu-jitsu.
Ah.
And you'll be watching these things, especially me, who doesn't know anything about it. You're watching it, like they're going back and forth, and then all of a sudden, nothing happens, and one guy starts screaming in agony and quits. That's what it looks like to me. Like, I can't see any difference, and yet all of a sudden his leg's going to snap.
Because they're just down there scrapping on the ground. You can't really tell.
He locks him in some kind of position where his leg is going to break unless he quits.
Oh.
Yeah, like the first week I took it, I grappled a little bit with the teacher who's like this 5'0", like tiny guy.
Right.
And I'm like, fine, whatever. Like, I'm gonna, like, I know he's a teacher, but like, whatever. I still got him.
Right.
Like 30 seconds later, he's like 20 seconds away from snapping my arm.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, I have a lot to learn from this.
Point taken. Yeah. So I'll continue coming to class. I have not yet mastered jiu-jitsu.
Here's my question: if Peyton Manning took 1 year of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, could Drew Harrison beat him up?
No, what?
That's what
yes.
Well, he feels like he's superior to Peyton Manning in many athletic ways.
I will destroy Peyton Manning in any sport.
Yeah, so Drew has stated at various times over the last 2 or 3 years that he could, for example, outrun Peyton Manning, outthrow Peyton Manning. Various different challenges have been put at his feet. There's always an excuse why he can't do them. But yeah, so now he thinks he can beat up Peyton Manning.
Eat more pizza than Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning now or Peyton Manning in his prime?
Oh, now.
Peyton Manning now is like
Peyton Manning now.
But are you in your prime, Drew?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm far from my prime. That's why I think it's even.
Okay.
You're in your prime for you.
No. I peaked at 16.
This is Drew Harrison prime.
Yeah.
We're not talking Peyton Manning
I'm
prime.
double my prime right now.
He's double his prime. It's like doubling your fun.
See, in stakes, double prime would be good.
So KWASI.
See? That's why I think I'm better than him.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say.
So KWASI, you are also a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, which I find interesting because you grew up in the Bronx. Clearly, you became a fan when you went to
Pittsburgh,
the Carnegie Mellon. But, like, did you return home? You're like, I'm a Pittsburgh fan, and then you got thrown out of the family? Or are they Giants or Jets fans over there?
No, I guess one of the things about, like, I'm first generation, all the adults in my family are from Ghana. So football to them means, like, American football.
Yeah, they did not give a shit.
Yeah, like, the moment I was like, I'm not into soccer, they're like, all right, fine, do whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah, but that time you beat up Pele, they got pissed. Yes?
In a jiu-jitsu match?
Right.
In a jiu-jitsu
in a jiu-jitsu match? Right. But, so they didn't, okay, because that was my question. Growing up where I grew up, and if you became a Steelers fan, it's not like if you were in Dallas and you became a Steelers fan, but it would not be looked upon with thrill by some. And
I have a buddy who did the opposite. He was born and raised in born and raised in Pittsburgh. He was born in the 80s, like raised in the 90s, but became a Cowboys fan.
Oh,
but that was more of like an FU to his family.
They're better. They're better too.
Well, okay, Gary is a Cowboys fan, which is yeah, and this has come up more than once. It's okay if you don't like him.
Pretty much what happened to all Steelers fans if they're exposed to the Cowboys. They just become Cowboys fans.
No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And you got to speak it.
It's America's team.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Yeah. So what years were you in Pittsburgh? I'm trying to get like your about where
2004 to 2008. So they actually won their first championship, I think, my sophomore year.
Okay, so are you not their first championship?
No, not their first, but I think their first like modern one.
Yeah. So are you about 28 or so?
I'm 30.
30. Yeah. Okay, so Gary and I are old. Gary's 51. I am 35, and 47. And so I'm just trying to get you like your frame of reference of like kind of where you start.
You can't change your picks now.
No, I'm not changing any picks. He doesn't even know what we're playing. Yeah. But I'm just curious, like, because it's such a historic team, and I'm wondering if you've delved into the history of the Steelers at all. You know, the before KWASI MENSAH came on the scene.
Yes, I remember there was actually one time I was like randomly at a bar in Pittsburgh and ran into Franco Harris.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like the nicest guy ever. Yeah, like obviously he was like no idea who I was. I was like, oh my god, I
wait a minute, Franco Harris didn't know who you were? He's never seen your comedy?
Know who I was. Yeah,
or his jujitsu.
That was so sad.
Right. That must have been disappointing.
Well, it's also you have to know the history. I don't know if you've ever been in the Pittsburgh airport,
right? No,
or anywhere else
in Pittsburgh. In the Pittsburgh airport. Right next to a statue of George Washington,
right?
There's a statue of Franco Harris in the Immaculate Reception.
Yes,
gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like the same importance there.
Yeah, just in case we were wondering where everybody stood in the eyes of, in the historic rankings for the people of Pittsburgh. And so
let's be honest, Pittsburgh could have beaten Oakland that game without George Washington, but they weren't beating without Franco Harris.
No, they were not.
So he's clearly more important.
They were not. So do you have a favorite Pittsburgh Steelers moment or a player or what have you?
Troy Polamalu was my favorite player for a long time.
Yeah, and what do you like about him? Was he the one who had that really beautiful hair and he did the shampoo commercials?
Yeah, that was the greatest thing ever.
That's how I figure things out, KWASI. So you like him because he's a nice guy who did a good job?
He was also such like a wild card on defense. Basically, like his entire job on the team was basically like he was like supposed to be safety, but pretty much they trusted him to be wherever he wanted to be on the field. So he was the guy who was like that was messing up all these quarterbacks and like getting interceptions. I think there was one play where he did the thing where, I think he might have been one of the first guys that does the thing where they jump over the defensive line and get right at the quarterback and stuff like that.
Oh.
So he was like a complete and total wild card.
That is Lewis's job on this podcast. He's supposed to be the sound engineer, but we trust him to put in whatever he wants.
That's Bishop's job in life.
Yeah.
Bishop's just a wild card in life.
He's just a wild card. We trust him to be wherever he needs to be, whatever he needs to do. Well, if you don't mind, or even if you do, see,
my Steelers roots run a little deeper.
Well, why do you say that?
Like everybody probably has heard of Jack Lambert, but I actually know that he didn't have any teeth because I had his football card.
Oh, really? Yeah, that was back in the day.
He had like 3 teeth.
Gary collected all the cards.
Did he wear dentures or?
Yeah, I don't think so because his picture on his football card showed 3 teeth.
So
he was in his hand. He was a tough SOB.
It was a more real kind of time.
Yeah, I guess.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
they probably didn't pay him enough to get teeth at that point.
Well, we were talking a little bit about this last week, KWASI. I was actually a guest on my own podcast because I was traveling. I was in New York and traveling back, and I used to be a speaker's agent, and so it was funny because we represented people like Terry Bradshaw. But then, in the late 90s, early 2000s, people wanted, say, Michael Jordan. We're like, no, Michael Jordan's made way too much money to have to do this. Like these guys in the 60s and 70s and 80s to a degree, they didn't have the contracts for endorsements.
So you could get the president, but you couldn't get Michael Jordan, right?
The president did not make as much money typically as Michael Jordan.
Yeah, right.
I
know.
And continually in the interest. in the public interest in the way that Michael Jordan would continue.
You know,
to
the
be.
funny thing about that is until his last year in Chicago, he made $3 million a year. He signed a throwaway contract for a tenth of what they could have paid him just so they could get more players.
Right.
So he actually really didn't make that much money from
off
the NBA.
Endorsements.
Right.
No, right. No, I'm saying it's off the other stuff.
No.
So what we've put together here is a bracket. It's a best Pittsburgh Steelers players of all time bracket challenge.
Ooh,
now here's the thing.
It's tough.
This is going to be tough.
I don't even like the Steelers, and it's tough.
And I got to tell you, here's the thing, KWASI. In this, when we do a bracket with one of our guests, you're playing God here. We have all four of us have filled out our own brackets, and who goes on to the next round, and you're going to be the decider. You're sort of the, you're like the only judge in the Miss America pageant, so to speak.
All right.
So
Sounds
we're gonna argue, we're gonna get upset, but you just got to go with your heart or your gut or your head or whatever makes your bracket decisions for you.
All right, sounds good.
Are you ready? We're gonna go.
Ready.
We're just gonna go pairing by pairing, and okay, this is the first round, and we're gonna start off with a bang. Terry Bradshaw or Hines Ward.
Ooh, okay. I have to say which one?
You have to say which one. You decide, and then we
Greatest Steeler player
applaud.
all ever. Set up like a 16-team bracket. You're the vote. Rest of us have filled it out.
Yeah, I feel like Terry Bradshaw, they got, how many rings underneath him? 3 or 4, right?
4, yeah.
4. But I don't know, I feel like Hines Ward is just like, he's one of those guys, like, he's a lot closer to, like, I actually saw him play.
Right.
I know a lot of people think he's one of the dirtiest players ever.
Okay. All right.
So we're talking. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna go with Hines Ward on this.
Oh my God!
I know this isn't upset.
This is disgusting.
You said he's the.
I'm going to the finals.
You had Bradshaw going to the finals.
I used to have a lot of respect for KWASI MENSAH.
my head says Terry Bradshaw, but my heart says Hines.
I have no great stories about Hines Ward on the speaker circuit. I have amazing stories about Terry Bradshaw on the speaker.
Let's do Terry.
No.
Don't you change his mind.
I can't change your mind. You have to just take into account that when you make these decisions, you got to live with them, no matter how loud I get. All right. Oh, that murdered me. All right, next pairing.
It's always been my philosophy.
Yeah, Jerome Bettis versus Antonio Brown.
Ooh, okay. See, now I know that there's so much pressure in these.
No, there's no pressure. There's no pressure.
Don't let Blaire intimidate you.
I didn't preface it by saying this. If whether you win or there's no winning or losing for you in this because it's not a quiz, but you get nothing. There's no prize.
I mean,
not now. He
I
doesn't
lose out on some Terry Bradshaw stories.
Well, yeah,
she'll still tell him she can't help herself.
Buy me half a glass of prosecco sometime. You'll probably, or you're going to be in New Orleans at Hell Yes Fest, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Well, so I'm going to be there, and Gary's going to come down there with me. He loves New Orleans, so you can buy me half a glass of prosecco somewhere. I'll probably tell you everything you ever wanted to know. All right,
sounds great.
Jerome Bettis and Antonio Brown.
Ooh, okay. Jerome Bettis, Antonio Brown. I feel like I'm gonna go with Bettis on this one.
All right, Bettis. There
Good
we
choice.
go.
I mean, the wide receiver is always a little bit more exciting, but Bettis is just much more of a dependable workhorse.
Okay. All right, workhorse. Very practical.
He also went out on that Super Bowl in his own hometown. That's a big way to go out.
Yeah, it's a big way to go.
That's true.
I mean, even I know that. So, okay. James Harrison versus Lynn Swann.
Ooh, didn't Lynn Swann run for governor as a Republican or something like that?
He did.
Yeah. So he's out.
Hey, he hasn't answered yet.
No, well, he's just asking questions. Yes. Lynn Swann's known.
I remember that. I thought that's really effing weird.
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm going to go with James Harrison.
Yeah.
There we go.
We had to turn with the Bengals.
All
There
right,
we go.
Harrison. Oh, wait, I got to keep better track here because we had word. Somebody's going to have to help me in the later rounds.
I got it.
My bracket's already in
Oh,
the
mine's
mix.
still intact, so it's okay.
Oh, fuck you, Drew.
I feel like Terry Bradshaw. That was the upset.
That was the upset.
That's the only one I got wrong.
Yeah.
We'll correct it next round.
Elsie Greenwood, and I spelled it ELSIE, which is not how you spell it.
No, it's not.
It's Elsie Greenwood and versus Rod Woodson.
Rod Woodson. See, these are. So this is a funny thing. Both of them are before my time as a Steelers fan, I
Rod
think.
Wilson's before your time? Are you
Okay.
15 years old?
Elsie Greenwood, contemporary of Mean Joe Green, defensive end on the line of the Steelers teams in the 70s, Hall of Fame. And Rod Woodson, 90s to 2000s Hall of Fame cornerback for that era Steelers.
All right. You know what? I'm going to go with Steel Curtain. I'm going to go with Greenwood.
I'm like, oh, you know what that means. Gary knew who you meant when you said that. And I still was like, what does that mean? All right. Second half of the first round. Uh-oh.
Okay. Yeah, we know who's
Jack Lambert versus Troy Polamalu.
Well, I said Troy's my favorite, so I'm going to have to stick with him.
There we go.
All right. Le'Veon Bell versus Franco Harris.
That's a tough one.
Oh, no.
Yes. Yes.
You know the right answer
here. Oh, my
God.
Who has that statue?
Yeah, but who's a modern day legend?
He has that statue. I mean, Le'Veon Bell, I think he's going to be a great great Steeler if he keeps it up for another 3-5 years.
Yes.
You think? I have to.
So you're
I
not
have to go with Franco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Mel Blount versus Ben Roethlisberger.
Real quick, can I tell you, I love Mel Blount. He did all the voices on Looney Tunes.
I know.
That's Mel
Bugs
Blount.
Bunny's my favorite.
It was great.
Yeah.
Super talented guy.
Right. And his son continued tradition, right?
Yeah, but Big Ben's a great quarterback. Let's move on.
That's true.
No.
He's a great quarterback, horrible person.
Yes.
So that's like, I always have trouble like being a Steelers fan and feeling that like people put me in a place where I have to defend Ben Roethlisberger. All right, I mean, purely as a Steeler,
yes.
That's what we're ranking on, right?
Yes.
Them as human beings.
This isn't the greatest Steeler person off field.
Okay. Ty Cobb's in the Hall of Fame. Never forget.
Yes.
Yes. All right, I'm gonna go with Roethlisberger. Then.
Boy. Yeah, we already had a rousing debate in the earlier segment about the pros.
Let's not bring that back up.
Yeah, we're not going to bring that back up.
Okay.
All right, Roethlisberger. Okay, and then the last pairing of this round, Mike Webster versus Mean Joe Green.
Oh, Mean Joe Green.
Yeah.
That Pepsi, the Coke commercial.
Right.
So iconic.
If nothing else. All right, we're in the second round here.
All right, you can fix your mistakes you made.
I think what we have here is
not on my bracket.
Is right.
Yeah, we don't have a losers bracket where we can get Terry Bradshaw back in.
I don't think so.
I still got my Final Four intact, so let's do this.
Okay, so we got Hines Ward versus Jerome Bettis.
Oh God, yeah, this is getting hard.
Yeah, Gary hates the Steelers, and he thought this was a very difficult bracket.
They had a lot of good players over the years. Yep.
I'm gonna say Bettis.
Yes.
Gonna say Bettis.
Right answer.
There you go.
Right answer.
And then we've got James Harrison versus LC Greenwood. I keep looking at my LC written out, and I find it very amusing.
It's very
It's adorable. Yeah. It's what it is.
Well, okay, seeing it, I feel bad because I didn't know. I'm not familiar. I wasn't familiar with who Greenwood is, so I'm going to go with Harrison.
Hey, that's the right answer anyway, so you're good.
Yeah. That's the right answer.
All right, in our next
guy
round,
didn't even know who Rod Woodson was. So
next time, never mind 10-time Pro Bowl cornerback Rod Woodson. Who knew who he was?
You've got some homework to do, young man.
Harrison was the right choice.
Right, no, that's right.
So far, you've got to watch Top Gun. You've got to go back and learn about Rod Woodson. I feel like there's something else too. You got a lot of homework coming out of this.
Yeah.
All right,
he's doing just fine. Okay.
I feel like my Pittsburgh friends, when they listen to this, are going to shame me so badly.
I just hope you don't have any older ones. That's going to be the problem.
Right. If they're your age, they're probably fine. All right, Troy Polamalu versus Franco Harris, whose statue resides next to George Washington.
Who's your favorite, though? You know, like who's Mr.
This
Steeler?
is the best Pittsburgh Steelers players of all time. Bracket.
Hey, find us a picture, a 70s. Find us a 70s era picture of Jack Lambert. Somebody.
Okay.
My question is this. Okay, think about this. Who rode over the Delaware in the snowy weather in a boat
to play in Jersey
to kill Englishmen in their sleep? Okay, 2 people.
Troy Palmer.
No, 2 people. That's why there's
together
George Washington and Franco Harris both went over there,
right,
to kill Englishmen in their sleep. So
I don't think George Washington killed anybody. I think Franco Harris killed quite a few people.
But we're forgetting his favorite Steeler of all time.
But that's this is the best Pittsburgh best.
Let the man pick his favorite.
All right, Quasa.
All right, I guess even though Palomar is my favorite,
No, you're not.
Best
No.
killer of all time. I'm gonna have to put Harris.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
That's the right answer.
Excellent choice.
You let Troy Polamalu down with that.
And then, right, he's crying and
There's no immaculate shampoo.
Oh, you know what? That wouldn't be a bad brand name for a shampoo.
Yeah.
All right, we'll test it.
Get back to you.
Get back to you. Okay, Roethlisberger versus Mean Joe Green.
I'm gonna go with Joe Green.
Yeah.
Of course.
All right, I got 3 of the 4.
All right, here we go. This is we got 2 pairings.
Okay.
I guess this is the semifinals here. It's
Okay.
Bettis versus Harrison.
Oh, I think I have to go with Bettis.
No, of course you do.
Yes,
of course you do.
Bettis. All right. And then this is the second semifinal pairing. It's Franco Harris versus Mean Joe Green.
Versus Troy Polamalu.
Is it too late to point out that Bettis won 1 and Bradshaw won 4?
Yeah, no. It's never too late to point that out.
All right.
It's Franco Harris versus Mean Joe Green.
Versus Troy Polamalu.
Oh God.
Versus Mean Joe Green. Shut up, Eric.
That's a tough one. Those are the 2 icons of the 1970s.
Yeah, I know. I feel like this is like
along with Terry Bradshaw.
And Troy Polamalu.
No.
I feel like this is one of those situations where, like, when you have a tournament and the finals are really getting played out in the semifinals.
Yeah,
yes,
maybe.
Right.
Maybe,
yes,
maybe.
you might be right about that.
Yeah.
Since you already killed all the good people from the other side.
You're doing just fine.
Harris.
Yeah.
All right. And then
that was like Houston, Louisville for the right to see who plays underdog NC State in the finals, knowing they're going to win, except they lost.
Right. Well, just so you know, I had Bradshaw and Green in the finals. So
I'm so
that's okay.
I had Pettis and Polamalu.
Who won that
I
last
should
match?
have taken this way seriously.
Franco Harris.
This way seriously.
Franco Harris. Oh, that's a tagline for this show is that we argue very, very, very seriously about things that don't really matter. I've used it.
I just want to let you guys know that I have Bettis and Harris in the finals. So.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. This is it. This is for all the what do they eat in Pittsburgh?
Pierogies.
Okay, this is for all the pierogies. Bettis, Jerome, for the title of best Pittsburgh Steeler player of all time, according to KWASI MENSAH, nobody else. Jerome Bettis versus Franco Harris.
So, I mean, Bettis has his upset. No, I'm going to do Franco Harris.
What?
Who did you have, Drew?
I had Bettis.
Who did you have?
I had Bettis.
Oh, I would have picked
Can I point out that Franco Harris won 4 Super Bowls to 1 for Bettis?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Who'd you have, Gary?
That statue in the airport's Franco Harris.
Who'd you have?
I had Mean Joe Green and Terry Bradshaw.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah.
I heard everyone's bracket, so everyone's in half.
Oh,
no,
boy.
it's
No. That was good.
did
That
good.
was a good rousing game.
Just because they're old and only remember older players.
That
No, I
was
don't
good.
think we've ever done this with the Cowboys.
Well,
that one of these times.
you know what?
We couldn't find that many great players.
Maybe we'll do it.
Oh, really?
When we tape down in.
I didn't say Cowboys who graduated from
Well-
UNC. There aren't any of those.
Well, I'm working on having Holly Lene, a comedian who you may have met.
we should have Dink.
Oh, yeah, she's out of Kentucky.
Yeah, and I know
Yeah.
you've met her, but I'm saying Gary may have met her too because she's been here a couple times, and she is a huge Cowboys fan. So when we have her on, we'll do
No, I don't
this.
think she should be on.
Yeah, she's coming on.
We can always have Dink back, too.
So, who do you? Where are you going to be in the next few weeks? There, KWASI. What do you have? Anything coming up? Any shows? Anything you want to plug? Your album,
like you mentioned, the album. It's still not like recorded or anything, so I have no idea when that's going to be out and about to people. You mentioned I'm going to be at Hell Yes in New Orleans in a couple weeks.
Yes.
That's going to be fun. I love going to New Orleans.
We'll buy you a gumbo.
There you go. We'll buy you gumbo.
Sounds good.
And
then
go ahead.
And then every Thursday, Friday, Saturday in December, I'm going to be opening every show at a place called the Comedy Studio in Boston.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm their comic in resident that month.
Oh, that sounds fancy. Don't tell us if it's not. Everything sounds fancy to us down here.
No, it's very fancy.
All right, KWASI, we will see you in a few weeks. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Sorry for ruining your brackets.
Oh, yeah,
You did fine. You did fine.
You did great. All right, we'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, talk to you soon.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
I love that he said my favorite player, my favorite Silver of all time is such and such, but I'm on the Blaire.
Right.
Yeah, like as
in
if
spite of
he had
that.
to apologize for that in order to be on our show.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to wrap us up for this week, listeners. To download the episodes or to learn anything you ever wanted to know about us, go to myfantasywife.com. Thank you, Mr. Bishop, for taking us out with the jazz trumpet stylings of Mr. Al Hurt.